Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Red Sky, and tonight Alex will be joining me here as we will be your host for the rest of the evening. You are joining me here tonight on the fifth installment of Racers Without Borders British GT Series for Assetto Corsa Competizione. Tonight our drivers will be going around on Brands Hatch. In ACC, Brands Hatch is configured as a GP circuit layout, which makes today's tracks exactly 3.9 kilometers long. And I will tell you, it's not an easy track to drive. It's an incredibly technical and narrow on some amazingly tricky bits. Make matters worse, the GT4 class prefers slightly drifting through some of these corners rather than being a civilized vehicle and taking it like a well-behaved car should. Our drivers are going to have undoubtedly practiced a lot for this race, considering it is the second to last one of the series. Last race had an incredible upset with a completely different top 10 at the finish than we, or should I say I, was expecting. The series leader was nowhere to be found on the front of the grid halfway through the race due to technical issues. And on top of that, we had a great battle for first place that lasted almost the entire race through. We had an incredibly tense fight between Varley and Kruger, both of who were battling like titans for having a shot at being the winner of the series. With no doubt on my mind will I tell you that these will be two drivers to watch, as they have nothing to lose and everything to gain tonight. After what I saw in Spa last week, I can tell you it will get spicy with both of them tonight. But seeing as all of that is not important, and what you guys definitely do want to know is the current top 10 standings of the championship, here it goes. Rigel with 288 points in the BMW with the number 72. Rigel has had a relatively consistent season and currently finds himself in the top 10 at the first spot, being the current standings leader. His results were steady enough so far for him, and it is paying off. With only 2 points of the difference, Rick Binnersley with the BMW numbered 888 will be chasing him tonight. No doubt he will give everything tonight to snatch as many points as possible in the hopes of being capable of having the strongest possible fighting position for next race. Right behind him, we have a man that fought as hard as he possibly could for the third spot that he currently holds. Philip Varley in the McLaren, driving number 55. He will do everything to get there, but this makes our entire top three only be 6 points apart from one another. Marko Badowski currently finds himself being fourth in the series, standing with his Mercedes, driving number 30. Straight behind him in fifth is Samuel Kruger, who will be taking a break from racing pretty soon and go on a well-deserved holiday. No doubt all of the Audi fans will be missing him, as he has been a consistent force of nature with that car throughout every single season I've seen him race in. I know I will miss him. You will be able to spot him driving under the number 360. That is our current top 5, which is incredibly competitive, with only a total difference of 18 points between Rigel and Kruger. That means anything can still happen, and especially tonight on Brands Hatch. Completing the rest of the current top 10 standings are Dor with a BMW, driving number 917. Jack Camaletto in the Aston Martin, driving under number 61. Emile Chablome, a BMW addict, much to the dismay of his father, who wishes for him to drive a more respectable car, and I agree with that for one matter. He will be found under the number 747. Nate Newcomer in the absolutely incredible Chevrolet Camaro, driving with the number 97. And to complete our top 10, Daniel Barnett in a beautiful Porsche Cayman, although I might be slightly biased in that case. He will be driving under the number 15. And you are currently seeing footage of Dor going around Brands Hatch trying to get as high as possible, and he has currently qualified for 5th, but he's no doubt not happy with that. He will be doing everything right here to reclaim what he has lost last race, trying to get as high as a position, seeing as Brands Hatch does not allow for overtakes. It just does not enjoy it. The track is way too tight, way too technical, so any position gained during qualifying is most likely what you're going to be holding the entire race through, unless, of course, we have some accidents happen, which, I mean, it is Brands Hatch after all. You are probably going to see quite a few of them. Matt Lee currently finding himself on pole position. something incredibly interesting was just noted to us in chat. I hadn't noticed yet, but in 30 minutes, the game predicts rain. And seeing as the race start will be in 1 hour in game, that means we are probably going to have a wet start. And that is going to change everything for tonight's race. There is going to be a huge difference in a dry line or a wet line.
Yeah, let's just wait what the random weather from ACC is giving us tonight. But that would change a lot, and that would be a very interesting race then. And another interesting fact that I noticed is that Crew and Madley, first and second place, did exactly the same time.
Oh, you are completely right about that. Both did a 1:31.491.
Yeah, and the top 5 just roughly 1/10 apart.
What are the odds of that? Honestly, an interesting question there would be how the game actually decides who gets pole position if they both have the same time. Oh, no, never mind. Camiletto fixed it.
Yeah, but now the question remains. Maybe it's the same rule. I think, is it Formula 1? Whoever gets the time first gets the place.
Could be. That definitely seems like the most civil option there. Thing is, alphabetical would just be a little cruel. Oh, Dor now taking the second position, absolutely fighting for everything he can to get his positions back. Dor having had a horrible race at Spa due to technical issues. Finding himself qualifying for somewhere in the top 15, if memory serves me well, and then finding himself at the bottom of the grid by the end of the race. Like, honestly, absolutely fantastic that he still raced it till the end, but I remember reading that he had quite a few technical issues that caused that to happen. At one point, he was driving and he just had a network disconnection issue, and he saw all the cars just disappear for a minute. Hopefully for him, he won't be having that issue tonight, and he will be able to go back to what he loves doing, and that's being at the front of the grid. One minute left, and everybody is trying to get their best laps in. Right about now, you're going to see everybody that is still out go for their last possible lap. Crew is no doubt trying to improve here on this current 4th position. His best time so far was a 1:31.49, which he queued together with Matley. His last lap was a 1:32.481. He is looking for the time. Shablom currently on his out lap. Just going a little wide there. Yeah, that is the end of his lap. Meanwhile, Martin Ulrich, currently qualified for 7th position. Spa's winner. Trying to get in a better lap. He definitely should be capable of doing this. He is on a 1:31.65 tree, which puts him only roughly 200ths away of a second from pole position. All he needs is a singular good run. Anderson going off right there. No doubt trying to take the corner a little too ambitiously. Sterling's is a corner you should not underestimate. Taking it the wrong way immediately puts you off the track. Ulrich taking a little bit of dirt there. That's probably going to cost him the tenths of a second he's looking for. Yeah. He just did a 1:31.962. He's going to have to be satisfied with starting 7th. Pinpoint now coming across the final corner. And he finds himself still in 13th position. Check if we have somebody else still out on track. No, that was it. This is our grid. Starting on pole position, Jack Camiletto. Second position, Door. Third, Justin Matley. Fourth, Dave Crew. Fifth, Emo Plate. Sixth, Jeroen Reuling. Seventh, Martin Ulrich. Eighth, Philip Varley. 9, Daniel Barnett. And 10th position, Marco Badowski. This is going to be an incredibly interesting race start. You can tell just by the way the grid is positioned.
Yeah. So let's just hope for them that there's no rain.
I fear so. I mean, currently we have the prediction of rain, and seeing as has been pointed out that the race start is only 1 hour later, that means that 30-minute prediction is within range.
Is it on the same day?
Yep, on the same day. That's going to hurt. That is most definitely going to hurt for some drivers. Yes, there we go, with rain. And in the first 10 minutes, there's been a prediction of more rain, followed by a 30-minute prediction of less rain. This is going to be an incredibly interesting start. This is going to completely change the strategies the drivers are going to have to take to even make it across. Of course, here is the gamble. What are the odds of the rain disappearing after 30 minutes and it staying dry the entire time through? Who will take that gamble?
Yeah, I think now we'll see who's best prepared, who's got the tires right, the pressures, the setups. This will be pretty interesting.
The only luck they have so far is that because it's only 30 minutes into the, well, about an hour into the future, there's not going to be any puddles yet, and the track is only going to be slightly wet, which means they're not going to lose that much traction just yet, but it's going to be just at that point where there's going to be just a bit too much water on the track. So very quickly after the first 5 laps, they're going to find themselves with less and less grip per lap that they're going to be taking. And that's going to be a tricky bit because Brands Hatch being as tight as it is, you're going to want the line to stay consistent, and it's not going to. I honestly, personally, really not want to be in the middle of the pack right now. Three minutes to race start. Everyone, no doubt, now thinking of what is the best strategy ahead. More downforce or taking the gamble with less downforce. I mean, I know some drivers in this grid, I'm 100% certain of it, are more than comfortable going with a dry setup with just wet tires to go through this. But that's not for everybody, so there's going to be a huge difference in pace between some cars. Personally, I dislike wet racing. I don't know about you, Alex.
It depends. It depends.
Currently would have been doing 21 degrees Celsius. At least they have that going for them. Today's still pretty warm, so they're not going to have to be fighting for heat in those tires.
Ah, but you got to get the pressures right because when the raining will improve. And yeah, you really have to get those pressures right.
One minute and 50. I can just feel the tension in the air as everyone is thinking about what they're going to be doing. Just one more minute to go before we have an incredibly exciting opening lap. on the incredibly technical Brands Hatch. Also very surprised currently looking at the grid how varied the front row actually is when it comes to manufacturers. What I am, however, a little surprised about is that there's not a single Janetta in sight. There we go. Drivers are turning on their cars, turning on their lights. Ten seconds before we were off. And here we go. Brands Hatch has always been a very difficult track to have a race start on, seeing as some people are going to be in very incredibly difficult positions to get a good run on. Especially for the midfield. The front of the pack is going to have quite a decent start here, but the further down the grid you're going to go, the trickier this start actually gets. Especially seeing as the braking zones into turn 1 are quite difficult to get right, and the GT4's being as drift-turned as they are going to have problems. And we're off! Door already trying to find that opening on the outside line, but not finding it. However, he's not done yet. Camiletto's still defending that inside line. So far, it seems something happened a little bit further down the grid that caused a little bit of a slow up, but no accidents yet into the opening turn. The front of the grid solidifying itself in the position that it has qualified with, without too much issues, it seems. However, there is a bit of a gap forming, as it seems that something might have happened there all the way back at the hairpin. Looking back at it though, no noticeable differences. That might have just been a little bit of a spin there for someone with not too much of the issues. However, they're already being packs forming this early on into the race is definitely telling us how different some people have chosen to go with their setups. And how difficult and slippery it already is out there on the track. Oh! And that is, I believe that was Camiletto that just went off.
Yeah.
Oh, he must not be happy with that. He lost about 6 positions there, if I count correctly.
Yeah, I think he's P6 now.
Door undoubtedly is going to be very happy with that mistake from Camiletto. Luckily for him, it seems that he didn't get too many issues, as the track currently already changes conditions again. It now being damp instead of wet. The pack still being very close, but there's a little bit of a room following there, as there's a bit of contact there. Not much, but a little bit between plate and rolling. Camiletto now finding himself being the leader of the chasing pack. With another person that just went off. Hard to see who that was. Racing this close as some cars are doing here in the wet, that is incredibly tricky. It is a miracle so far that we haven't already seen a bigger crash happen. I'm currently following Godzilla here, trying to get past Kruger. Trying to find that inside line and taking very dangerous actions, touching those curbs. Still holding their line, and you can tell from the way he's looking and driving to the left and the right that Rigel is trying to look for an opening here. But at the same time, Godzilla's not looking in his rear view mirror. He's looking for an opening on Kruger. Rigel braking a bit late there, trying to get on that bumper, while Godzilla himself is trying to find himself past Kruger. trying to get the right lineup, trying to get some pass, going from left to right, but still not getting close enough to find that inside line on Kruger. But he is trying, though. He is trying to find that little bit of an opening there. All it takes is for Kruger to make one singular mistake, and the ABS on the Audi is not that good. So it could be that he locks up the brakes or slides here. If he doesn't adjust it correctly, if he doesn't brake correctly here, he could be finding himself just a little bit too far into a corner, and that could give Godzilla the opening he's looking for. Rigel currently backing off a little bit from Godzilla, trying to defend against Pinpoint there, who is also looking for that inside line. Rigel just staying on his line, hoping that the Apex will save him from Pinpoint, but that Merc has a lot of acceleration power on the straight line. He might be able to find himself across.
Oh yeah, you saw that Godzilla was moving from the racing line. That indicates that he has issues with his tires.
Yeah, I saw that just too as well. Also sliding very far into the curbs there. He's going to be struggling the entire race too. Either he misjudged his PSIs, or maybe he's still running a dry setup, banking on the idea that the race will eventually dry up. Which in that case, he would be gaining a lot of positions just due to sheer speed of that Camaro. Crew going a little bit too wide there. Losing the position to Kruger, it seems. Yeah, Kruger managing to get by, but Godzilla not managing to capitalize off of that. Now most likely going to be frustrated on the fact that he's still stuck behind Crew. He definitely had to go on the brakes a little bit there to just stuck him behind him for that corner. Further down the grid, we find Matt L trying to get past Eugenie, trying to do everything in his power to find that opening on the hairpin corner. Will he be able to? That is, of course, the question, as always. Not going to be able to close that gap, but an old familiar face is straight behind him. FX. I love seeing this guy go for some overtakes. He did some magnificent ones on the spot. I wonder if he's going to try to do it again on Brands Hatch. Binnersley going off right there. Wonder what happens. Let's go check the replay. Close fight with another BMW. Trying to hold that inside line.
Oh, and a little bit too much curb. There we go.
Oh, and he hits the wall as well. That's very painful. That's very unfortunate. Oh, but he is being the gentleman and trying to give it back, though. But of course, that's going to take him a while. Oh, that's unfortunate.
And the Porsche now we get the position back.
Yeah. Merchant now going off as well, trying to rejoin the track. Of course, that's difficult in this case. Oh, that BMW must have suffered some aero damage. He's struggling in the corners there. As you can probably already tell, this race is incredibly difficult with it being wet, with it having such different cars. You can already see that people are going into the pit, no doubt, to probably fix the damage they already have and get it out of the way. Thor currently still finding himself in first place. However, Rolling has smelled blood and he wants it from him. That gap is not big. That is 0.2 seconds. And what is incredibly easy to notice here is how far away they actually are from the rest of the pack. Rolling is already 3 seconds ahead of Varley. This is incredibly close racing for first position this early on in a race that lasts us an hour and 20 minutes. Oh, and Door goes wide. Has the slide. He's going to have to concede that position now down to Rolling, but luckily for him, Varley doesn't manage to catch up quick enough. However, he is now in the awkward position between Varley and Rolling, with only a gap of a second towards the front and a gap of about 1.5 seconds towards the rear. He's now going to have to play the catch-up game. Lucky for Dor, though, he managed to catch that slide because that's a particularly tricky place to go off. If you take it wrong there, you will fly into a wall.
Yeah, I guess he was lucky that he saved that.
Incredibly. I remember myself a few races ago going off there and immediately flying into a wall because it's an incredibly slippery bit of grass. Because what you don't see, and you definitely don't see it on the camera here, is that it's very uneven. So the car goes up and down, and you get very few moments to actually steer at high speed. Nate currently trying to defend his position against Crew. Gap isn't big. It is 0.4 of a second as Crew is trying to get the perfect line here to get past the Camaro. And while you wouldn't say it, American Muscle is quite quick, but that Aston is incredibly tough on a straight line to beat. However, it suffers everywhere else. It suffers a lot of understeer, and I don't think the rain is making that any better right now. It seems that Nate so far has been safe from an overtake by Crew. Rigel, however, currently finding himself in a three-way battle. Axe and Shablom definitely tucking in behind one another, trying to find their way past Rigel. Rigel not entirely certain yet whether or not he should defend that inside line against the McLaren. You can see him weaving and moving a little bit, and Hack's taking the line a little bit too far there while he touched the curb. Definitely losing some speed there. This is a battle we're going to want to be watching. Rigel is now looking for the opening, and Shablom is no longer close enough to him to actually take advantage of it.
Oh, no. Rigel goes wide, and Hex takes advantage of that pretty quick.
Yes, and Shablom immediately losing his position as well. Do I believe, is that Nate straight behind him? It is so easy to make mistakes here as it is being wet. Just a little bit too much on those brakes and you go off the track. You cannot lock them up, and with wet conditions, that's not easy. And the worst part for these drivers, as they're not aware of it yet, the rain is only going to start increasing. If this gets much wetter, everyone that banked on the idea of having a dry setup is going to absolutely hate their life, as they're going to struggle to find any grip. Looking through the entirety of the grid right here, there aren't many battles. However, FX is currently holding off Merchant, and if those people that watched last week...
Oh, and they touch.
FX with a beautiful safe there. And Merchant very lucky that Gretschel was capable of braking for that, seeing as he went full on his brake as soon as he touched FX. FX and Merchant have a bit of a history here. Spa last week, they actually had quite a lot of battles happen. I think they met up 4 or 5 times on the track. FX having won every single one of them in that case as well over time. Merchant, no doubt, is going to want to try to get by here. Oh, but FX taking it wide.
FX goes wide.
Oh, and he might be losing the position here as well to Tarbuck, seeing as he holds that inside line, although FX is going to manage to hold on to the next one. And he's just going to be able to tuck in behind Merchant right now. However, oh, back there, that looked like a little bit of contact there between Gretschel and Audi. Let's see if the replay caught that. Yeah, just a little bit. Audi being a tad too ambitious on trying to get on that inside line, braking just a tad too late, and thereby touching Gretschel, pushing him off the track. Conditions are slippery. And going for late braking into an inside corner right now could definitely result into an accidental dive bomb. It's not necessarily what you're going to want to be trying right now. Thor currently having to defend this position from Varley, who has every opportunity currently still in the series standing to actually win the series. All he has to do is hold on there. And as I can spot right there, and I think, Alex, you're going to agree with me, is that green bit right now is way too slippery for the drivers to touch, but they're being forced on it because of that corner. Thor taking that corner masterfully, though. And rolling himself, finding him 6 seconds, putting him safely into a far position. However, straight behind here, Badowski is trying to defend against Barnett, who is pushing as hard as he can. I am quite literally seeing the hundredths of a second drop in front of my eyes as that Porsche finds every single last ounce of grip on the track, as he finds every single bit of pace that Badowski is just not finding here. This is incredible. He is going to look for that opening, for that overtake. And if Badowski doesn't find this correct line here soon, he might be going just a little bit too wide and giving Barnett exactly all it takes is for the pressure to become just a tiny tad too much. Barnett having to slow down for Badowski. Barnett still haven't found that opening yet. He was probably hoping to be a little bit closer so he could have taken the inside line here on the hairpin, not managing to, however. But there is another opportunity here. This is a decent corner for an overtake right here. Graham Hill bent if he managed to get by, but he doesn't. Here's the question. Will Badowski be able to hold on to his speed long enough for Barnett to not get a decent run on him on the straight? But by the looks of it, Badowski is struggling so much with the car that he's having to take these corners so slow that Barnett doesn't actually carry enough speed through these corners. But Badowski's going to hang on just a little bit longer here. Oh, incredibly close there. Barnett is struggling to not drive into Badowski, as he obviously has more grip and more pace and he wants by. But in the meantime, Kruger is sitting there waiting for the opportunity to use Barnett's opening to also get by there. You can just tell. You can tell he's keeping his distance. You can tell he is seeing an accident waiting to happen in front of him in that battle.
Yeah, of course, because now it's just about how long Barnett can withstand the pressure, because he's obviously being held up now.
Yep, very much so. Badowski absolutely has no grip in that Mercedes right now.
Yeah.
He might be one of the people that decided to go for a dry setup. You can clearly also tell that Barnett went with a wet setup. He has a much tighter line on the track, struggling a lot less with grip, and probably has those tires perfectly up to their correct PSIs, which I believe is 30 PSI with the wet tires, correct?
Yeah, I think it's around that. Like 30 to 30.5.
Sadly enough, ACC does not allow us to tap into the driver's data to see who has what, because that would be incredibly valuable and interesting information in this exact battle. Barley there in the distance trying to get past Door, but Door definitely defending that inside line perfectly. It seems Barnett has decided to tuck in behind his opponent Badowski instead of risking the overtake. Oh, no, never mind. Badowski goes wide. And Barnett finds the opening. But Badowski hasn't given up yet, it seems. Oh! Barnett going a little bit wide, hitting those slippery curbs, which he probably shouldn't have. Almost losing the car there. Losing a bit of pace. Allowing Badowski to stay close. But at this point, I don't think Badowski has much of an answer for Barnett. Braking incredibly late, taking a very big risk. We've seen him struggle with that Mercedes. He is trying to do everything he can to get back that 5th position. But that gap is now growing. Oh, and Badowski pushing too hard. Almost going off there. I also saw, if my eyes didn't mistake me, a BMW right there on the side of the track. However, I have absolutely no indicator for who that might have been. Further down the grid, Mol is currently having to defend against Matt Chablom. Chablom going just a little bit wide there. However, I do notice a familiar face right there, Camiletto being all the way in the rear right there.
Oh yeah, he was in P4 earlier.
Possibly he might have gone for the pit after taking a little bit of damage, because if memory serves me well, he went off.
Yeah, he got his mandatory pit stop green. So I think he went into pits.
Now he's slowly fighting his way through the rear of the grid.
And as you can see, the track has gotten wetter.
Yes, indeed, very much. And it seems rain is only going to be increasing. In the next 10 minutes, rain is going to double. And then it's going to go on it again. This is not a fun race. Everyone who banged here tonight on having a dry race is probably screaming at the top of their lungs in frustration right now. Let us see if we can find some more battles down the grid, which is proving to be incredibly difficult. Gaps are forming and closing very rapidly. Eugenie currently having to defend against Crew. We have seen Crew go for some very nice overtakes in the past, so he should be able to find an opening here against Eugenie. Eugenie is an incredibly consistent driver, and he knows his way around tracks, and he knows his way definitely around the Camaro. Crew being incredibly impatient here, looking for that opening, costing himself those crucial hundredths of a second to find that opening. And Eugenie just does not care. He is focusing on those apex lines, and Crew is braking late, trying to find that opening that just isn't there right now for him. If he doesn't watch out right here, he might be causing a collision.
Yeah, but you can see Eugenie's line is just perfect.
Yes, and with a perfect line on Brands Hatch, there's just no opening. Mad Al having tucked in behind Crew there. Oh, Crew trying to get by through the outside on Eugenie, but he just beats. That Aston Martin has way too much understeer to make that stick. But all it takes here is a... Oh, and they go off!
Him. Oh. They're off! Wow.
That was unexpected. Eugenie just going a little bit too wide there. Just a little too wide. And that causes him to slide. And Crew following him. Tunnel visioning on that line does exactly the same. Just that little bit here as they come in to Graham Hill bent. Just a little too wide. And you'll notice he goes over that curb. And he just loses the grip. And Crew doing the exact same because he tunnel visioned on that rear bumper. Eugenie seemingly having taken quite a lot of damage on the front of his car there. He is going to be feeling that. That is not going to be a fun remainder of his race. He's going to have to take a difficult decision here. Is he going to have the damage fixed? Is it drivable? Is it costing him too much time? There's still 56 minutes left. But of course, 3 minutes worth of time in the pits is not very desirable.
Yeah,
but
he
it
goes
looks,
into the pits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to have
The
too much
least
damage.
thing, yeah, the least thing you need in that conditions is loss of aero.
What about crew? Will he be finding himself
I
in
think
the
he's
same
going
position?
for the same tactics now. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah. They have no choice. That is very unfortunate for both drivers. Starbuck currently trying to stay ahead of Shepard, who is rapidly closing the gap. Boat and BMWs, these cars are completely even except for the setup changes they've made to it. Oh, Starbuck just going a little bit too wide. That's going to give Shepard exactly what he needs. That's going to give him the ammunition to try and take a takeover here. However, I see a little bit of damage on Shepard's rear. But it looks to me as Shepard might have taken a little bit of a wrong line there, and Starbuck having profited from it as that gap now currently grows once more. However, further up the field in 16th position, Al is currently having to defend. Or he isn't, and my data is wrong here because FX is stuck him behind them. My apologies for that one. Oh, however, Plate is trying to finally look for an opening on Varley. And by the looks of it, Barnett has joined that train and trying to find the opening on Plate. This might be becoming a three-way battle here very rapidly. This is, of course, where you get the strategic decision. You just stuck in behind one another. Oh, Varley slipping just a little bit. He goes off that dry line and he immediately gets punished for it. However, Plate can't make that inside line stick, it seems. But that puts Varley in a difficult position for the next corner here. And this is just in there. That could have ended very badly, and now Plate making a small mistake. Causing him to just slow down a little bit. That causing Barnett to have to slow down as well. And Varley now getting a little bit more breathing space. Wonder if the pressure just got him a little bit too much right there. This little train here has been driving since the start of the race. Varley has been holding on to that third position with Plate behind and Barnett behind him. No doubt that is a lot of pressure on all three of these drivers right here.
Oh, and Varley goes wide.
Varley goes wide.
Oh.
That is not good for Varley. That is not what he wants to be having right now, as he is in the fight for the series leadership. He is not going to be happy with that one. And with that, let us immediately go check where Rigel is, who is currently holding on to first position. Rigel currently finds himself in 11th position. Comfortably driving there, it seems, with not too much of an issue. Trying to stay ahead of everything. But at the current moment in time, the margins between the top 10, actually even the margin between the top 15 in the standings, are so slim that any good position for the top 10 would actually mean they might become the series leader for the moment in time. There's a lot of pressure on these people's shoulders right now. Joe Blum there having to defend against Boris. Boris trying to break a little later. Oh, Shablum just going a little bit too wide there. Blum is still going to hold on to that inside line, so he might be okay here. No, he's going to have to tuck in behind Barris, who has now gained another position. Slowly creeping his way up the grid. Godzilla now, however, having to defend himself into the hairpin against Hax. Hax trying to find that inside line, and he finds it, but he's not going to make it stick. Godzilla having just a little bit more speed there, but he's going to lose a bit of traction on the curbs, but that car just does not care. Hax not finding the opening there. Both of them doing here what went wrong earlier. But in this case, they're not going to have the same issue as Eugenie and crew. They're just going to manage to make it stick. Now too much of an issue. Godzilla now having a little bit of breathing room. Gap widens itself again.
Yeah, but as you
Hax,
can see, he's still swerving on the track. Still having problems to get the pressures right in the tires.
that is going to cost Godzilla, of course, a few hundredths of a second, which might give Hax the opportunity. Because of the looks of it, he doesn't have that issue. Also, Alex, are you seeing what I'm seeing when it comes to the rain prediction?
Yeah.
More rain?
More,
rain.
and even more.
This might turn into a thunderstorm. Oh, Hack's going a little wide. Not sliding off, though. I don't think I need to mention this, but every single curb on Brands Hatch is a bad one when it's wet. Without any exception. Even the green runoff areas, they are incredibly slippery on this track. Especially that one out of turn one, that little bit of a green area. And the reason for this is because the water slides down it during the race itself. And there isn't as much of an adhesive and corrosive material as you have with asphalt, where the water sips into it a little bit. That green is just completely flat, so the water just runs down it. So when you go over there with your car, you're essentially having the exact same issue as you have when you drive through a big pool of water. That being said, I haven't seen any puddles form so far. Probably, actually, no, I'm seeing some form right now. Off the dry line on the straights, you can definitely tell the puddles are slowly starting to form. Godzilla struggling a little bit with grip through that corner. You can clearly see him slide right there. Hack's not managing to make anything out of that. If Godzilla doesn't manage to get that car under control soon, Hax will eventually find himself past this. Further down the grid, we currently have Charger trying to defend himself. Actually, no, he's not having to defend himself. It yet again is wrong data. I'm probably shoot quite a lot more tonight, as I cannot differentiate what the gap is. Is it between a back marker or is it between racers? In this case, currently, it is between a back marker. That is Eugenie there, by the looks of it, who is trying to get every single last tenth out of every single last lap to slowly gain up, to make up for the damage he had to have fixed. Because if you now look at the front of his car, you can easily tell that he had it all fixed. Probably with that type of impact, I'm counting 2-3 minutes that he needed to be in the pits there. Currently slowly being caught by Barris, who is still on the hunt for every single lost position he can gain. Meanwhile, in front of him, including himself, having to try to get past that back marker right there. This puts Bull incredibly close to Shablom, though. This is closer than Shablom wants Bull to be. However, Blum manages to carry a little bit more speed through those corners, managing to stay ahead just a little while longer. Just a little while longer. But we've already seen this. Shablum has a little bit of an issue with consistency in the wet right here. He probably is struggling a little bit with the braking of those corners, because the wetter it gets, the further he slides if he brakes wrong. If those brakes lock up, if that ABS has to correct, he slides a little bit. That's not what you want on Brands Hatch. And Bull might be waiting for that opportunity. Now it's all down to how much pressure can Bull apply without crashing into the rear of Shablum. Oh, the back marker goes white there and slides off. And nearly misses the car behind, which by my best guess would be Charger. Bull just going a little bit too wide, hitting that curb and having a traction loss. Managing to catch the slide, though. Now having an unfortunate entry into that corner, though. Losing a little bit of speed, giving Shablum a little bit more breathing space, as he no doubt needs. But Bull has a different issue now. Having a bad entry onto the straight. Barros is finding himself past Bull. Nothing he can do about that. He's just going to have to concede that position. Even if he would have taken the inside line there, he would have not been able to stop that from happening. Barros had too much speed there. And now the battle has changed. Now Bull is going to try and tuck in behind Barros as he tries to find an opening past Shablum, because it is very clear to me right here that Barros has more pace than Shablum. Not a lot, but that opening is going to be starting to form.
Yeah, and as you can see, he's obviously now right behind him.
Bull straight behind Barros, though, and if he can stay on the rear, then he might still be able to find an opening there. If Barros actually opens the door on Shablum, then there might be enough of a gap for Bull to follow if he can stick close enough to Barros' bumper, regaining the spot he has lost.
Oh, and Shablum goes wide.
Not managed to catch that, and if you look... Oh! Still managing to do it! With that BMW's horsepower, there's nothing you cannot do!
Wow.
Barros trying so hard, having that inside line, even though Shablum fucked up. But Shablum says no. He says, no, you're not getting thing I have. No doubt. No doubt on my mind, that must have been the most frustrating moment for Barros this race, true. He had that. But Shablum yelled no at the top of his lungs, but the pressure isn't off just yet. Barros now frustrated, looking for the inside, and he is going to find it. But yet again, Shablum yells no!
Yeah, this is crazy. The power of the BMW is just crazy.
Oh, Barros trying to get in contact! But Shablum saves it, and Barros gets punished for it himself! Shablum! How lucky can you be? How lucky can one man be? How lucky can one man be? He had the perfect pit maneuver executed on him. 3 times Barros found that inside line, and yet he persists. And now he has another challenger. Now the battle continues. Now Bull wants that position, and Bull is the new challenger. Will he get past Shablum? That is the question, but I'm not certain he will. However, Bull having a perfect run, though, for this straight. And Pilgrim's Drop is a perfect position to overtake if you have a good run on it. But I have a feeling here that Shablum is just running no rear wing. How is he pulling away like that on straight lines? Look at this. That car is just giving. Could it be? Could it be? I'm just putting out a theory right here. That Shablum is running a dry setup and actually managing to make it work more or less. And that's why we see his inconsistencies here. Because I have no explanation for this. Charger just going a little bit wide there right behind them. Merchant currently defending against Charger. Now, we have seen in the past that Charger is a near immovable wall when it comes to defending.
Yeah, right behind them is Camaletto.
Who, with no doubt on my mind, wants a higher position.
Yeah, with his early pit stop, he found himself back in the traffic. Now he's desperately trying to get past them.
Charger seemingly allowing it, though. Yeah, Charger allowing Camaletto past, probably having realized that he's already done a pit stop and that fighting him is just going to cost him time rather than gain him a position. That being said, the question now becomes, is Merchant wow, I can suddenly no longer speak. Will Merchant do the same thing and let Camaletto by? Because if he starts defending, this might be the opening Charger is waiting for. And as I've said in the past, and that's of you, Alex, the new weather forecast is in. And it says yet one more thing. More rain. Oh, Merchant going a little bit wide. Camaletto managed to get... Oh, that is beautiful. Oh, but Merchant doesn't want to concede that. Braking a little late. That could have gone very wrong for both of them there. Now Camaletto having had a wrong... They're driving very tight while they shouldn't be, but I think Merchant is trying to look in his rear mirror and being very afraid that Charger is going to grab away his position.
Yeah, I think the best thing he can do is stick as long as possible to Camaletto to gain some time.
I can tell you one thing, though. If I remember correctly, Merchant had to try to get past Charger in Spa, and that was an incredibly tough fight. I'm thinking Merchant doesn't want to let him by because he doesn't want to have that fight once more. But it seems to be that Charger is just tucking in. Oh, but Merchant running a little bit wide there. Oh, that is dangerous, but managing to catch it. I almost thought he was going to take out Charger right there. Just that little bit white there, just that little bit of a touch of the grass, not having as much traction as you're going to want to be, a little bit of dirt on those tires, then hitting those curbs in that corner, and it is the end of it. And you slide it. Merchant being incredibly lucky that all he lost there was a position and not lost some aero parts against the wall. Because we've seen it before. On Cooper straight out of Graham built. Graham Hill Bend. Wow, I really cannot talk anymore tonight. I'm very sorry, guys. It is dangerous. That's where we've seen most crashes happen so far.
Yeah, and as you can see, Camaletto already building a gap, wasting no time at all.
Oh,
he wants that positions back.
And by the looks of it, he's going to be doing it. The only one from the top 10 of the grid right now that I've actually noticeably seen pitting was Varley, which means that he currently is in front of Varley. Varley currently finds himself in 21st position. Camaletto 14th. Camaletto is on a roll here. And if he keeps up this pace, because it looks like he has that car very well under control right now, we might be seeing him way higher up the grid than we're expecting him to be right now.
Yeah, he's in a good position right now, putting consistent fast lap times in. No fighting, not losing time overtaking. Maybe it was a good strategy to go to pit early.
It probably really was by the looks of it. trying to look through the grid right now, trying to find something that is happening. But by the looks of it, most of it is back markers overtaking. Well, no. Most of it is back markers being overtaken. Ooh, Rolling finding himself way further down the grid than he was earlier.
Yeah, but he did a pit stop.
Oh, he is in a good position in that case. And he does have the pace to make it stick. Very beautiful line there through the hairpin. Masterfully done. Smidge of that curb and not a little bit too wide there. Avoiding all the risky bits, using all of the track here to maintain that momentum. Knowing he's going to need it for when people are starting to pit. Oh, Pinpoint and Rigel battling here as Rigel is trying to find that inside line and Pinpoint demands him to stay behind him. No doubt Rigel is going to be incredibly frustrated here.
Oh, and he was wide.
Pinpoint trying to find too much space there and having to concede that position to Rigel. However, I have a feeling Pinpoint is going to be happy with himself that he didn't just spin off. All he now needs to do is stuck in behind Rigel and wait for the right moments. Seems to me that Mercedes has just a little bit more downforce, taking those lines just a tiny bit tighter than that BMW. And now Rigel goes wide. Like I said, all he needed to do was wait, and he would find himself that position back. In the meantime, Rigel has another issue that he can worry about, and its name is rolling. He finds himself sandwiched between two Mercedeses, and as a BMW driver, happy with that. There is just no arguing with the performance a Mercedes puts down in GT4. It is probably the most dominant car on the grid. Although I will say I have been surprised by the performance of both the Chevrolet and the Audi as well. Vanquest currently talking about Rigel's skin. Yes, I completely agree, and I will give you the best thing about Rigel's skin. The best thing about it is that on his rear bumper it says, "You're nicked, son." That is the best thing about Rigel's skin. It's such a tiny detail, and you won't tell it on the stream. I don't even think you can read it when you're driving, but I absolutely love it. Still, by the looks of it, no fights going on. Oh no, there is one. Nate wants 21st. He's looking for the opening on Barris. Looking for the opportunity to go past. That absolute unit of a Camaro is driving masterfully in the wet, looking to get by, and they are getting bumper to bumper. This is an incredibly close one. They are looking for that opening. Will he manage to is the question. Tucking in behind Barrows, getting every single last bit of a boost from being that close. Every single last bit that he can get. And if he gets incredibly lucky right here, he might be able to find that opening on the hairpin. That gap having been reduced to just 0.3 seconds. Will he find his way through the hairpin? No, he will not. Bears holds onto that inside line. Here comes the question, however. Will it stay that way? This is the corner where people fuck up.
Yeah, but not with the Camaro. Just eats the curbs for breakfast.
Oh, it does, but I was more talking about Barris. He's feeling that pressure right now. I would be. That Camaro is straight in his neck. And it's breathing heavily. All it takes for Barris here is having the pressure become too much for a single second. And by the looks of what I can see, it definitely is Newcomer who has the better lines right here. Camaro. And that's just inherently an issue for the Aston Martin, who... It's a car that understeers. Let's be frank about it. And a technical track like this with a lot of corners it's just not well suited for it. You can put down very, very good performances with it and very consistent lap times, as seeing as every car is pretty much competitive on every single track depending on the driver. But it's wet and you're having to defend, and then that car just doesn't turn the nose in the way that you want it to. So yeah, he's definitely feeling that. And if all Newcomer is going to do is hold on to that apex line, you're eventually going to have to cave. So far, it looks like Newcomer is going with the strategy of, I'm going to wait for him to make a mistake. I'm just going to stay so close that he has to keep looking in his rearview mirror. All it takes for Barris is to take the bait once, to defend that inside line once, and Newcomer might be able to get by. Because he's not trying to attack the inside line. He's attacking the normal racing line. Here it goes. Barris lining himself up, preparing for the start-finish straight. Already here, now getting closer, knowing where he can be close to Barris's rear bumper, because he knows that the best place to overtake him is the hairpin, but that means he has to be close to him. Almost at the start, straight finish. If they get side by side here, and Newcomer can hang on to him through turn one, he will be able to find an opening on that hairpin. And no matter what Barris does on that hairpin, defend the inside or defend the outside line, if Newcomer is close enough through turn one, he will get by here. Barris gets lucky by the looks of it. Oh, no, he does not. Newcomer still having more pace. Newcomer now being side by side. Finding that inside line. Barely finding that inside line. They're going to be side by side coming out of this corner into the tricky bit. Into Graham Hill Bend, where everything always goes wrong. Oh, and Newcomer having to decide that it is not worth it to fight that right there. Deciding he would not have made that corner very well and having to concede it back to him. Masterful attack, though. Just sad it wasn't sticky.
Yeah, he was on the inside line at Druids, but couldn't get enough grip down to pass him. And then he thought, well, I got the outside line and Surtees. Better back out before I hit the curbs.
Barrows got him very lucky there. Very lucky to hold on to that position. And I think I just saw that rear slide a little bit on the Aston. He's getting nervous. Taking corners a little bit wrong. Starting to feel the pressure that he's been putting down for a very long time, and having to fought him in that corner side by side. Now suddenly that Chevy in the rearview mirror is a very real threat.
Yeah, now that Nate smelled blood. Now that he knows where he can get him. This could get interesting every lap for now.
Here we go. He's trying to find that opening. He's going to try and find the corner on the outside line into this turn.
You can see he's going very wide to get every bit of the track. Oh no, he's trying the outside now.
Will he make it work though? No, he will not. He grabs just a little bit of gravel there, too much, but he's still very close. He's not out of this fight yet. He could be trying this for Pilgrim's Drop if he holds on close enough. He might have switched strategy, and Barra's going off! That corner is deadly! I demand that the FIA changes that corner. I demand that there's some tarmac there. This has been, what, the 6-7 crash that we've seen in that corner? And I think in almost every single one of those, what has it been, like 4 or 5 of them were Astons?
Yeah, I think actually you're right about that.
It is incredibly slippery over there. And it is literally just a matter of if your right tires go over it, hit that grass, get a little bit of dirt under them so that they don't have as much grip, and you do not have enough grip with the left tires because they're going to be on those curbs. So both tires lose all grip. And while it seemingly doesn't feel like it when you enter it, try to turn off it and you suddenly slide because you're turning with no grip. And when the tires grip, you fly into that wall. That's literally the scenario we've seen every single goddamn time there's been a crash there. Oh, that must be frustrating. Although I have a feeling I might be the one most frustrated about seeing people crash in that corner right now. Oh, but what do we have here at the front of the grid? Door having to defend against Plate, who is slowly catching up with him. Door having a fantastic race without any technical issues, it seems, without any disconnects. He's trying to make up for what he lost on Spa, and if he managed to snatch first place, that might be enough for him to regain what he's lost last race.
Yeah, I think now it just depends on who gets the better pit stop. The top 5 still have to pit. Especially in the first 2 laps after the pit stop when the tires are cold. This could be very interesting.
Cold tires on a very, very wet track with a very narrow dry line. That's going to throw them off their A game. That dry line is very, very narrow here. Just looking at Door's rear view mirror, that must be starting to stress him out. That Audi.
Yeah, he's giving absolutely no time to breathe.
Something else I have just noticed is that his windscreen wipers aren't working. Door is driving without windscreen wipers. I wonder if that's a visual bug or if he's actually driving without windscreen wipers. Yeah, no, that's not a visual bug. Door is driving without windscreen wipers.
Well, I don't really know how the game behaves when he puts in a different view, like a different camera view.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Maybe he's not driving with cockpit view. I don't know.
I actually do believe that Door indeed does not drive with cockpit view. I believe he drives with the hood view, which probably does explain why we're seeing so much water on his windscreen. That actually made me a little nervous. It is not fun to drive with water on your screen because everything gets warped. Good point. Very good points. Charger currently finding himself behind Rigel. and Rigel finding himself further down the grid than he was earlier. Charger smells blood though here. You can tell he's looking for that opening. The question though is Charger going to find that on Rigel? Rigel has had a lot of pace so far.
Yeah, well, I think Charger has to decide if he's trying to fight against them, gain positions, or just get into the pits and get a little bit of room to breathe because he still has to pit.
Yes, and on top of that, we have that little bit of an Alpine right there that is very eager to get by Charger.
Yeah, and I think if he loses too much time behind Rigel, Gretschel after his pit stop can profit.
Most definitely. Although at the same time, if he managed to hold on the same pace as Rigel, and he can tuck him behind, he might be gaining a bit of pace here. That being said, that all depends on whether or not that Alpine behind there is going to start trying to battle, because there is one thing that I've seen Charger do way too many times since I've started streaming the British GT, and that is screaming like Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, "You shall not pass!"
Yeah, well, don't you agree that I think in this position here, Gretschel should make the pit stop first because he knows that
Yes.
Charger is being held up by Rigel?
Yes, most definitely. If Gretschel does a pit stop right now and Charger doesn't, he's going to find the pace that he's going to need to, especially seeing as I do believe that the Alpine is going to have an easier time warming up those tires than the Aston is going to have. Like the Alpine is just so much more nimble through those corners, so it's putting so much more stress on those tires, which is going to cause more heat to go into them.
Yeah.
Which in turn, of course, is going to give it more PSI. Yeah, look at that. Gretschel has so much more pace here right now than Charger, and he's tucking him behind Charger knowingly.
Yeah.
He should be going into the pit, and Rigel going off right there, now having to tuck him behind Charger. Hitting Charger! Oh no! Rigel hitting Charger, and Charger hitting Gretschel. Now Charger having to avoid Rigel, waiting for him to catch up as this entire little fight between the three of them turns into absolute chaos. And now Rigel...
Gretschel do the right thing.
Yep, Gretschel finally doing the right thing, realizing he needs to get out of this fight, realizing it doesn't want anything to do with both that BMW and that Aston that have absolutely no cornering ability in the current situation, which is rain, 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 and puddles on the track. Wow. That was unexpected. That went from very civilized racing, which was being held up, to absolute complete chaos. It just goes to show how difficult it can be to give somebody a spot back. Oh no.
Oh, Gretschel got to stop and go. I think he speeded in the pit lane.
That is unfortunate. That is going to ruin his day. He was in a very competitive spot and he was having very, very good results there. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I think if he rewatches the stream and sees that we told him one lap earlier to pit, he would be very disappointed.
Yep. It's unfortunate, but it happens. But the only thing I can say about that is so many people try to push the car till the last second over that pit line. And while it is true that you will find a few hundredths of a second there, you are much better off braking early and avoiding that stop and go altogether. Play it safe on the entry of the pit lane. Do not do anything insane or crazy there, because if you miss it, you're going to regret it. Barnett currently finding himself in another scrap with Shablom. Shablom definitely wants by Barnett. But if if he cannot get that car under full control, as we've noticed earlier, he's probably running a lower downforce setup because he has a lot of speed on the straights. If Chablum doesn't manage to find a little bit of stability in that car, that Porsche is going to be hard to catch. It's not an easy car to catch. It is a jack of all trades, master of none, which means it is perfect in the rain. For those that are actually unaware, I believe the Porsche actually has 11 settings of traction control and 13 settings of ABS, which means Barna can be tuning the car to exact perfection when it comes to the racing conditions throughout the entire race without any issues. To give a comparison to that, the BMW has 4 traction control settings and only 2 ABS settings. It's a big difference. That's the difference between light and day.
Yeah, speaking about perfection in the rain, let's switch to the guy in position number 1, DOR.
Is he currently still fighting? He is.
Yeah, he is still fighting. They've been fighting for 38 laps now, which is crazy. No pit stops, over 1 hour on these tires.
That being said, my question here is how much of it is fighting and how much is it just trying to have as much time together to then have the final fight straight after the pit stop. However, what I find very interesting here is that Plate has not decided to pit yet. I feel like there would be so much to gain right now out of having fresher tires and just getting that little bit of extra time.
Yeah, I think maybe he's worried about getting into traffic.
But still, if you look at the amount of, like, how far away they are from each other, if you look at how far ahead of the actual pack they are, they're already in traffic from time to time. And it is true, they are currently in a very clean bit, but they must have lapped a few cars already. Oh, this is an interesting fight. This is going to have a very, very harsh conclusion because you still have to keep in mind that Rolling and Hacks are not that far behind. I think they are within, yes, they're within pit stop distance. By any chance, because I cannot see in this current view. Have Hacks and Rolling already pitted?
Rolling has pitted yet, so I think he is the one who's profiting from this fighting in the first 2 places. Because if the first 3 pit, I think he will gain position 1.
Yes, most definitely. If
yeah,
you're currently looking, he is currently, roughly 24, 22 seconds behind Door, which means, yeah, if they pit, he's going to run off with the spot. Rolling is currently top contender for winning this race. If they need to switch tires, if Door and Plate switch tires, they're no longer going to find themselves at the top of the grid. The only possible option they have, technically, for this, they might be doing the correct strategy here, is driving as long as they possibly can, not switching the tires, coming back out, and doing it again. I think this is an unspoken gentleman's agreement between these two drivers. Plate isn't trying to attack him. He's keeping that distance very stable, and they're just driving it for as long as they can, realizing that it's better to fight in the final few laps than it is to fight with each other right now and find themselves out of a position because Rolling played the long con game. But here's the question, though. How far do they dare to push that last pit stop? Are they going to go in literally the final minute? Are they going to be a little civil about it and do it a little sooner? Also, there is somebody profiting behind them, and I am questioning, is that car number 97? Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's Nate.
It is indeed Nate. Oh, Plate has decided. I am going to watch this. This is going to be probably one of the more interesting pits that we're going to have. The question here is, when does Plate come out? What position is he going to have? Who is going to pass him? Let's use the helicam so we can see it. That looks like Hacks. Hacks has passed Plate. But Rolling isn't far behind. Rolling is slowly catching up. There's Rolling. Rolling passed Plate. Doors and Plate, absolutely dominant position, was a ruse. The real winner of this race that is currently finding his positions is Rolling. Rolling played the right game. He went in early, and it paid off.
So let's see if DOR is pitting right now.
DOR is currently on the straight, not yet there. Going for Pilgrim's drop. The question here is, though, is Hacks going to pit as well? Look at all of those braking lines that just go way too far. Nate just on the edge of the screen going a little bit too wide, catching the dirt, finally losing his following position of Door. And Door is indeed going into the pits. Yet again, I'm going to stick on this. Who will overtake him? And is Hacks finally coming into the pits? That is a serious question to be asked here. Yes, he is. It looks like he is. Yes, Hacks is now also in the pit. And that was a question. Where's Rolling? There he is.
Now, where's Plate? Plate's coming on the main straight now.
They're going to come
get very, very close. Look at that. There he is. There's Plate.
Plate going to find the open. No, he's... Yes, he...
No.
Just...
Wow.
Just... And Plate had to go on the brakes there. Plate had to go so hard on the brakes. He's not going to be happy.
Yeah, and now the fight is on, as you said. Now the fight is on.
This is it. Plate has Plate nice. But no longer. Gloves are off. Rolling, however, he does not need to care. He is going to just cruise down to the finish line. Here's the big fight, though. Plate needs to capitalize this lap on the fact that his tires are in a better condition right now than Doors. And the big part about it, if Doors needs to defend the inside line, he's not on the dry line, which is going to mean that his tires aren't going to warm up as quickly, so they're not going to get on pressure as quickly. I would be putting my money right now on Plates. That Audi has a mid-engine car. This is a very corner-heavy track, and while that BMW will pull away on the straights, that Audi can maintain very close contact and very tight lines throughout these corners.
Yeah, I think Plate studied every movement of DOR.
Most definitely.
And now just trying to find the right spot to overtake him.
He's at what? What did he say? An hour-long battle with Door?
Yeah.
Like, he knows Door inside out. He played the long con game just in the same way as that Rolling did. He's going to find himself in a good position. But somebody to really watch out for here that I haven't actually touched upon just yet is Kruger. Now, Kruger in this situation is currently driving fourth. But if Kruger gets fourth position, that might actually put him in the lead of the championship, believe it or not. Yeah, that would put him in the lead of the championship. This is a very interesting race, and Plate is now looking for that opening. Plate is slowly creeping towards that rear bumper. Having played nice the entire race through with Door, And I can tell you that because the gap between them did not move. They were between 0.5 and 1 second of a gap, and that gap stayed that way for an entire hour. But no longer. Gloves are off and plate is pushing, but that is, of course, also very risky. As you just saw, he slid a little bit. But it becomes very apparent right now that plate is the one with more pace. And slowly he creeps towards that rear bumper, planning his attack, taking every single last second he can. In some cases, it's better to chase the last possible lap than it is to overtake. Hamilton once said, and I very much agree with him, it's easier to chase than it is to lead. Back with Door inside that seat, looking through that rearview mirror. And there is one very intimidating car behind them that just went wide. Let's look at that again. Blade is trying to be a little bit too ambitious, carrying too much speed through that corner and being very lucky that he didn't slide there. He could have lost it there. He took a lot of grass. But for the other part of this race, that Audi looks incredibly stable with no issues at all. But so does that BMW. The fact that that Audi is catching up slowly but steadily means that Door is running a higher downforce setup, because otherwise that BMW would be pulling away much further. And if it comes to a battle of who's better in the corners, it's always going to be that Audi. There is absolutely no discussion about that. And that means that Door is fighting a battle of attrition. Eventually, Plate will find his way past. The question is just how long can Door hold on? Can he hold on long enough to make it past 4 minutes? Yet again into a risky corner here. A lot of crashes. Plate have already played it wrong earlier. Now Door doing the same. It doesn't seem to cost him any time. He managed to pull it off with that BMW. Onto Pilgrim's Drop here. Straight back up. Where is that opening? Plate is wondering for it, and I find that he's being incredibly civil about this while he shouldn't be. A little further down the grid, though, there is a battle going on. Varley wants Boss Godzilla. Varley wants that opening. He wants every single last point he has straight on the rear of Godzilla. Almost touching each other right there. Varley is looking for that opening. Every single last possibility. And Godzilla is now going to have to find himself in the position of closing that inside line as much as he can, cutting a little bit deeper, not allowing Varley to take a little bit of grass line there. Going through that corner, tucking in incredibly tightly. Varley is going to try to do it on the pit straight. That is the best possible option here.
Yeah, you can see how late Varley is braking.
Trying to be as close as... Oh, Varley losing it there. Almost flying into the wall.
Good save.
Very good save. But surprisingly, Varley is still close to Godzilla.
Yeah. You can just see how Godzilla's struggling with his tires.
He's been struggling with that for a while as well.
Yeah. And of course he didn't change the tires during the pit stop in this position, so...
Varley going a little bit wide there. Possibly the nerves of it almost being the last lap getting to him. Although look at how late Varley can break with that
crazy.
McLaren. That's insane. Oh, the battle for second ensues again as Plate manages to get incredibly close right there. Plate now wanting that opening. Finding himself straight on the rear bumper of Door on the pit straight. The perfect position. Is he going to try for what is possibly the second to last lap? He is so close. This is all or nothing right here. This is where he wants to make it work. He has one shot, one opportunity here. Door going a little wide, but Plate doesn't. That is going to give him the time he needs to get that opening. The gap being reduced to 0.2. Now on the straight, but Plate takes a little bit of the curb too much. Car bumps and he loses that advantage yet again as the time now is 0.4 on that gap. He could have had it there. Could have had it.
And there's the next problem for DOR. Seeing the back marker, he's just probably wishing like, oh, please let me pass.
The question here, though, is how far is Rolling ahead? Will they get one more lap, or could this be it? If that timer clocks down and Rolling isn't across that race line yet, this could be the final lap.
Yeah, I think it is Rolling passing the start and finish
this is the
line
final
right
lap. Plate looking for that opening, looking to get by.
Oh no!
Oh no! That is heartbreaking. Kruger taking seconds. Camilletto
Oh my God.
Plate fourth. And fifth for Door. Plate is going to be feeling devastated, and Door is going to be furious.
I think we have to look at that replay, man.
I don't think I can get it. Actually, yeah, we can.
Oh,
Just
as
in
you can
time.
see, Godzilla stick to his position. Wow, crossing the finish line.
We did not
the
get that
reverse
replay.
gear.
Oh, that is heartbreakingly frustrating to see. Thor just stuck there, past the finish line in the middle.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. After the disappointment from the last race and now driving for 1 hour 20 minutes perfectly through the rain, it was just devastating.
Only for Plate to be a little too ambitious in trying to get by. That was a beautiful race with a lot of opportunities for a lot of drivers, and they managed to do it perfectly. But by the looks of it, there is no more upsets throughout the entire track, and that will be the end of it. That was an incredible race with a lot of accidents, with a lot of drama, with a lot of situations we didn't expect to happen. And without a doubt, the Aston was not the car here today. It has suffered. Each Aston driver that managed to get through here without a single accident is, in my personal opinion, a hero. Because as we've noticed, that car did not like this track in the rain today. I am incredibly happy with seeing the fact that a lot of things happened tonight, with the fact that we got an exciting race, even on a track where there is historically very few overtakes possible. Now, I'm going to be trying to get a few drivers in here, preferably in my case, Rolling, Plate, and Door. Although I'm a little hesitant currently with having had that just happen, having both of them in here.
Yeah, I think that will not end well.
No, that will not end well. I would absolutely love to talk to them, but I don't think that will end well. I'm going to try to see if I can catch Rolling, though. Trying to figure out what his Discord name is.
Roiling.
Actually on the list?
Wait.
There he is. Hi there, Rolling.
Hello.
First and foremost, congratulations on the win.
Yeah, congratulations,
Thanks.
buddy.
That was an incredible race you've just driven.
Yeah, like last season in GT4 we had the same rain race and I won that as well. I don't know, I'm just fast in the GT4 Mercedes for some reason.
I did notice you went into the pits a little bit earlier. Was that a conscious decision or was there something more behind that?
I didn't practice at all, so I wasn't even sure about my tire temperatures. I was hoping for it to get dry, so that's why I went for more of an let's say start low and then maybe a change in between if that's possible. But it wasn't needed. I just needed to go in really early.
That really did pay off very well for you, seeing as the people you were chasing, Door and Plate, had been battling for over an hour. You managed to undercut them with it.
Yeah, I knew before I went into the pits that I had an 11-second lead, so I thought, okay, I'm losing some time here with the fuel, but I hope it's enough, and it was definitely enough. I think 18 seconds ahead in the end.
Yes, indeed. Very much so.
Yeah, car felt amazing. It was just nurturing it, just really feeling it, being really patient. I don't know if you guys watched my inputs as well, but at some points I was just half braking every corner and not even full because the lock.
That was incredible. Like, you've driven an amazing race. That was absolutely 100% the perfect performance.
Thanks, definitely gonna watch the commentating back then.
That being said, now I'm going to try to look to get somebody else in here as well for a minute. I know who I'm going to get in there.
Yeah, you could try to get Godzilla in, talking about his tire management.
Absolutely, and I'm trying to get Kruger in as well.
Were there a lot of crashes during the race?
Yes, incredibly so. And most famously, the one that had the most amount of places where there was a crash was Graham Hill Bend. People went a little bit too white with their right tires onto the grass and with their left tires onto the curb, which caused them to lose traction.
Right. Yeah, so a lot of people spinning and sliding around, but at least thanks for the commentating, guys. I'm heading off for the evening. Thanks.
All right.
See you later, guys.
Yeah,
See you later.
congratulations again.
Nice evening.
Yeah, thanks. Hopefully till next week.
Hope so too. And it does not seem like I'm capable of catching. Oh, maybe Kai? All right. That seems to be everyone that I managed to get in here. All right. Well, with that, we will be ending the stream for a incredibly exciting Brands Hatch race. This was definitely not what we were expecting when we went into it, but the rain caused us to give us a beautiful race with a lot of incidents, with a lot of tiny little things that we were not expecting. We could not have predicted in any tense of the word prediction. It was incredibly enjoyable. Thank you for joining in tonight. Have a nice evening.